Hello and welcome to the team's press conference for the ABB FIA's Formula E World Championship and the 2022 Shell Recharge Berlin E-Prix. Joining us are team principals of Envision Racing, Sylvain Filippi, Mercedes EQ's Ian James and Avalanche Andretti Roger Griffiths. Now first, we'll talk about Gen 3, obviously now launched in Monaco. A few weeks have passed, so thoughts from all of you, starting with you Roger. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think what we saw in Monaco was very exciting. I mean, I think if you put the looks aside, which is obviously very personal, what really attracts me about Gen 3 is the uplift in performance. I think, you know, with a car that's going to be significantly lighter, significantly more powerful, and a little bit smaller as well, it was really going to add to the excitement of the racing that we have. So, yeah, I can't wait to see it on the track. You know, as a privateer customer team, going forward, we may be behind a few of the manufacturers who get to see it run, but no, super excited about it, and I think you know, it's a great step forward, and I really sort of praise the way that the FIA and Formula E have approached this, and you know, I think season 9 is going to be yet another step forward in Formula E's, you know, long history.
Ian?
Yeah, very similar to echoing Roger's comments. I mean, I like change, I like progress, and Gen 3 is going to see us all hitting the reset button, new challenges with the car. We're already starting to talk about the sporting format and how that's going to look, so lots of discussion to come on exactly how that's going to play out. And then the technical steps forward that will be taken as well, not only the uplift of power but the regen in the front axle. That's going to bring a whole new dynamic to it. Roger alluded to the looks as well. I think, to be fair, once we see 20, 22, 24, whatever it's going to be of those cars racing around the track for that first race, I think it's going to look spectacular. So yeah, very much looking forward to it.
And Sylvain, obviously performance stats are there, but from a sustainability point of view, it's also very impressive.
Yeah, I actually really like the looks of the car. I think it's really good on top of everything else that these guys said. For me, it just reminds me of season 1 when we started Formula E, and we said we don't really want to be judged on the performance of the car right now. We want to be judged on our rate of progress. That was the whole purpose of Formula E. How quickly we can accelerate that tech. So you look at Gen 1, Gen 2, and now Gen 3. I really feel we've delivered on that, right? Like the roadmap has been really impressive. The progression in power, you know, like 30-40% every time, less weight, and so on. It's really fantastic. So that's what it's really all about. And sustainability, yeah, of course, it's a big aspect. It's a big aspect of this championship. And we are trailblazers, you know, we are showing that you can create innovation, accelerate innovation, develop technologies without harming the planet. And ultimately, the main impact of Formula E, of course, is not the races here, is the trickle down of that technology to road cars. So being able to do that in a sustainable way is what it's all about.
Just sticking with you, Sylvain, you announced still a partnership with Jaguar for Gen 3. How is that developing so far?
It's early days, we haven't done anything yet. we need a car first. No, but yeah, like all the other manufacturers, they will receive their car pretty soon. They will start manufacturer testing pretty soon, and then it's a long process from June to October, November, which is not that much time to get a brand new car ready, but that's the same for everyone. And then we'll be part of that process, and then we'll go to pre-season testing at the end of the year. So we've done that cycle many times already for those who've been in Formula E for a long time, so we know it works. But yeah, really exciting partnership, and I think the whole grid is super exciting, you know, a lot of great partnerships up and down the grid, very competitive. You look at the races now, anyone can win a race pretty much, so, you know, let's hope it carries on into Gen 3.
And just following on from races there, so Envision are consistently performing well this season, especially with Robin picking up a lot of points, fastest laps, podiums. Is the same achievable for Nick? And if so, what have been the challenges for him so far this season?
Yeah, I believe more than ever in Nick's potential. His speed is incredible. In Monaco, he went like from P18 to P7, like, so the pace is 100% there. We've got to get on top of some qualifying aspects of it, and you know, you're talking, these guys will know as well, like, you're talking hundredths of a second in qualifying. It used to be tenths, now it's hundredths of seconds. It's so small. So for drivers to be able to go into the quarterfinals and so on, you cannot leave anything on the table, and therefore you take risks. And so for Nick, we have to make sure we give him a car that gives him the confidence to not make any mistake and do that. But it's easy saying it here. if you're in the car, it's a pretty tough call, and you can see the top drivers also make mistakes, and it happens. So if we can get Nick to qualify a bit more upfront, then he'll be on the podium like very soon.
Ian, last time we visited Berlin, it was a good weekend for you guys. Took home the drivers and teams world championship. Returning must bring back some pretty fond memories.
Yeah, we like Berlin. There's no doubt about it. I think also, if I think back over our time as a team within Formula E, our first win came here as well, back at the end of season 6 with Stoffel. So yeah, it's a special place. It's also kind of a bit of a home race for Mercedes. Having said that, we've also had our struggles here, and the competition is so tight at the moment, as Sylvain's just been alluding to. It's not tenths anymore, it's hundredths of a second. And it's very easy to be one side or the other of that particular line. So there's a lot of work going into this weekend and making sure that we're in the best shape possible. But yeah, we're not going to know until tomorrow exactly where we stand.
With the double header that we have ahead of us and the reverse layout that's going to be used on the Sunday, how does that change the approach to the weekend from a team perspective?
I think typically at a double header we'll, a normal double header, if I can say that, we'll sort of learn on the first day and then take that learning through into the second day, and then you'll see that progression across all teams. Our approach on this one is very much to see it almost as 2 separate races, because fundamentally that switch round drives you in that particular direction, and I think that we've got to be quite consistent in our approach there across the board throughout the whole team. So I think, yeah, I like the idea of the fact that we can actually switch it around. I think it adds a different element to a standard double header weekend. As I say, I like this particular track here. It's a great location. We're very much in the city. Tempelhof's an iconic building that we've got behind us as well. So very much looking forward to it.
Just to look back briefly at Monaco, Stoffel took a very dominant win last time out. However, Nick has struggled to replicate the same form that we saw on display last season. Is that anything to do with the new qualifying format suiting Stoffel over Nick, or is there other things at play?
No, I think it's symptomatic of just how tight it all is, and how you just need to be on the right side of those hundredths of a second. I think Nick is the current world champion, a deserving one at that, and we're very, very fortunate to have both the drivers that we do have campaigning for us this year. So I think we just need to make sure that we give both the opportunity to put themselves in the right position, not only for qualifying but for the race as well. We're confident in the package and in the teams, and I think that we've got to focus on consistency now. That's going to make the difference in the championship. If we see that performance delta becoming narrower and narrower between teams, it's the ones that consistently get those points in place time and again that are going to prevail. So no, I'm confident that both drivers are going to be in a good position.
Nice. Roger, so both Jake and Oliver started the season pretty strongly in Diriyah, but it's been tricky to find as good points since then, harder to come by, let's say. First of all, how has Oliver been adapting to life in Formula E and the unique challenges that this championship brings?
Yeah, I mean, Oliver is really enjoying his time in Formula E. We knew, and I think all of us know in this paddock, that bringing a rookie driver into Formula E is never an easy task. It's such a different form of racing. The technology within the cars is very different. The format of the race series is very different to any other form of motorsport. So there is a very steep learning curve. Oliver's on that rising flank of the learning curve. It's not yet started to plateau. He's certainly adapted his approach to how he's coming into the season. For example, he's now basing himself in Europe during this portion of the season rather than flying backwards and forwards to the States. So there is a big personal commitment there from Oliver. And we've made some adjustments to the engineering team around him as well to really try and get the best from him, and we're starting to see that. I think, like the others have said, qualifying now is so super tight that if you miss the opportunity to get into the duels, you are starting P12, P14, P18, whatever it might be, and then it's a tough march forward. I mean, there are no weak drivers in this championship. Nobody's going to give up a position easily. I think Oliver is experiencing some of the robustness of the driving that we shall say. It tends to be a little bit like that further back. So I think on times he's felt a little bit like he's in a pinball machine, but I think he's starting to adapt to that. And I think as the season progresses, we're going to see Oliver's performance improve and hopefully get himself into the top 10 on a more regular basis.
Moving on to the other side of the garage with Jake Dennis, we've seen a few instances of energy management challenges with Jake in comparison to other drivers on the grid during the races. Is that in relation to car or driver?
I think as far as the energy management goes, I wouldn't put the blame anywhere near Jake. He's not a driver that overconsumes. I think it's down to us as a team that's transitioned from a factory BMW team to an independent team. We don't quite have the resources that we used to. We're learning more about how to operate the car on our own. And with that learning, there's always going to be one or two instances which don't always work out. I think we got caught in Rome with the pace of the cars there and how that evolved, and we just didn't catch on quite quick enough. We reacted quite well in Mexico City, but ultimately there were other challenges we were facing there that held us back a little bit. But we've been making progress every time, so every time we've come away from a race weekend, we've understood the deficiencies that we've had perhaps, and how to work on them and make improvements. And we saw a step forward which ultimately didn't really reflect in the points, but in Monaco we felt we ran the race well, but we didn't qualify so well. So it's these challenges, it's like you've got to put everything together to get it right, and this is, Sylvain's team has been doing a great job of that, and we look to them as a great example of how a privateer or a customer team can challenge the bigger factory teams, and this is what we've got to emulate.